Welcome to Halas Hall Report, live every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Live talking Chicago Bears football with Mike the Bear Fan. And your host, Ken Dobb. Also on the panel, we have the football analyst, Woody, who was named for the Woody wrap-up on game days. Next on the panel, we have Bear Down Mike. He is the youngest, but don't be fooled. This guy knows this Bear squad. He can bring a different insight. Halas Hall Report breaks down the Chicago Bears team all year long, from the offseason through the draft. Also, the legend of tailgating, Billy Defense Flores, joins the crew live at 1st and 10 tailgating. You can find him at all home games at Soldiers Field. Also, the Bear Fan, who has been here since the first year of Halas Hall Report, welcome Bear Fan Dan, where he is known for studs and duds after every game. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Roku if you have a TV. They are all over social media. You won't find no better sources for Chicago Bears news like injury reports, team updates for breaking news for all the good and the bad the team does. Halas Hall Report will be live for the 6th season. And they are teaming up with the best sports podcast out on social media.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Halas Hall Report, streaming live on your Roku, on your Facebook, on your YouTube, and other ways you try to find us and watch us. Tonight, I'm with Bear Fan Dan. Good morning. Geez, good evening, Dan.
Good evening.
I know it's one of those days. I got Bear Down Mike. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening.
Woody, I can see you, but I can't see you. Good evening, Woody.
What's going on?
And we got Mike the Bear Fan in the back right now doing some of the producing stuff. There we go. There's Woody. Now we got all five of us on screen.
Beautiful.
Hey, we had a good week this week. There's still a lot of Bears stuff to talk, and we've got big news because we haven't had a Hall of Fame week like this for the Bears in a long time. Not one, not two, but three. Brand new Hall of Famers from the Chicago Bears. Now look I know some of you are going to say, well, but Peppers is going in as a Panther. Correct, but he also counts as a Bear. And for our Packer fans at Frozen Tundra Network, he also counts as a Packer. They break it down in the Hall of Fame by primary and in secondaries. We have 40 in total Hall of Famers, 32 primaries, one coach, and then 7 secondaries, guys like Peppers. But let's dig into them. First off, finally, Steve Mongo McMichael in the Hall of Fame. 15 years in the league, 213 games with 95 sacks as an interior lineman is phenomenal in this league. 17 fumble recoveries, 13 forced fumbles, 3 safeties and a pick, and a Super Bowl champion and a 2-time Pro Bowler. Dan, I mean, they finally got Mongo in, man.
Well deserved. About time he got in there.
Well deserved. So I mean, Mike, Bear Down Mike, why do you think it took so long for Mongo to get in? Because I mean, the stat line, he should have been in long time ago.
Maybe just the votes not going in his favor, just like for other Hall of Famers. That's all it came down to. He got outvoted.
Woody, I think though with the voting, I think it's more because of his WWE, WCW days. You think that might have contributed to his getting into the Hall late?
Yeah, a little bit. He's trying to promote himself after his football career. Even though NWO, I loved watching them. Four Horsemen and stuff like that. But yeah, it's about time. I mean, I'd put that, compare those numbers, Richard Dent and stuff like that. But yeah, it was well deserved, and I'm glad. Hopefully they didn't just vote him in just because of what he's going on with his MS and stuff like that, but for any sympathy votes. But looking at his stats, he well deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the unfortunate with the Hall of Fame, and I was in a discussion the other day on the morning show, the Ken and Ken morning show, as we're calling it now. It's like the voters, even like in baseball, they look at stuff outside of the game to determine whether or not people get in the Hall. I think with Mongo, his wrestling days hurt him. If he didn't do the wrestling thing, he might have gotten in sooner. But we do have a first balloter in. I think he was the only first balloter this time around. two first balloters, and of course, Julius Peppers. I remember when we signed him, right? Lovie Smith was on the airplane. Free agency started at 12 a.m. At 12 a.m. and 1 second, they had a signed contract, and he was on the jet coming back to Chicago. 17 seasons, 4 as a Bear, 9 Pro Bowls, 719 tackles, 159.5 sacks, 82 pass deflections, 11 INTs, 52 forced fumbles, and he scored 6 defensive TDs. 4 years here, 4 years in Green Bay, and the remainder of it was all in Carolina. He will go into the Hall as a Panther, but the Bears and Packers will both give credits. Dan, what do you guys say about Peppers finally getting in?
Phenomenal stats. Again, he well deserved. Glad to see him get in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Mike. Do you remember that free agency period?
I think I was like 10 years old, maybe
10 or so. Yeah.
I remember Julius Peppers because my dad's a big Bears fan, and he would tell me he's one of those primetime players that you gotta have.
Yeah, Woody. I don't know. I remember that day. Watching free agency back then. I was what was the website? They're still around, the NFLRumors.com or whatever it was. Yeah. And I remember they had video of Lovie Smith stepping off a plane at 12 midnight to sign Julius Peppers.
Yeah, he was a great athlete. It feels like he's the only North Carolina athlete that worked out for us, unless people love Mitch Trubinsky. But yeah, I mean, it sucks that he played for other teams, but it's good to have that statue of his face, and I feel honored. But yeah, he was a great player for all the teams he played for, all of them.
And speaking of teams and teammates, should have been a first ballot. The Hall just didn't know what to do. Hester, the KRPR GOAT, the Windy City Flyer, the man who literally changed the NFL by himself, won games by himself, should have been a first ballot Hall of Fame. I agree with you, Trent. I think, though, Dan, the problem is the Hall just didn't know what to do with a guy that they're going to put in specifically as a special teamer.
Right. Not many special teamers get in. We got Ray Guy and Warren Anderson before him in that, but he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. But hey, he got in.
Yeah, bear down, Mike. Would you think now that Hester is getting in that this will pave the way for more special team players to get into the Hall?
Oh, for sure. This is just the beginning of it. We could see a lot. There's a lot of special team kick returners, punt returners that are affecting the game, and they're elite. So I wouldn't be surprised if more get in.
Woody, I think you might disagree with that.
Yeah. I know it might pave the way for other special teamers to get in, but who's even going to be coming even close to those numbers? Maybe Cordell Patterson.
He's probably the closest.
But you name somebody in the league now that you would think would be a Hall of Famer for a special team punt and kick returner right now. It's going to be a while for somebody to get in if Cordell Patterson doesn't get in.
What about Janikowski?
Yeah, I was going to say, Dan, doesn't this open the door, though, for in special teams in general, right? Janikowski, Seabass to get in. Tucker when he retires. Robbie Gould possibly. Maybe
Vinatieri.
So, I mean, I think this would open the door
McAfee.
for some maybe McAfee, right?
Well, no, he's in WWE too, so that might scratch that a little bit.
Yeah, well,
he's not wrestling though.
But I mean,
he wrestled twice.
I think it opens up. They were talking. Devin Hester was talking after the award show. He was saying that hopefully this will open the door for more special teams players in general, because you have guys who spend their whole career being gunners and and do things phenomenally for a long time on a team, and they get no recognition. What about long snappers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where's the love for Patrick Manley, who did it for 17 years flawlessly?
Yep.
Right, and these guys,
it might open up for kickers and stuff. I'm just talking about playing out punt and kick returners. That's what I was talking about when we're talking about Hester.
Well, I mean, I think the Woody, and I kind of agree and disagree with you, but I think what they'll look at, they won't look at can you match Hester, because no one's going to match Hester for a long time. But now the criteria they use for the other guys, okay, how many times do you all pro? Do you have do you have a Lombardi? How many times did you go to the Pro Bowl? They'll look at those because you got some of these special team guys, like a long snapper who has 8 all pros, 7 all stars, or Pro Bowl. I mean, those guys, that's part of the criteria for some of these guys getting the Hall, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying it took Hester how long to get in, and look at his numbers. So I'm just saying about that. It's going to be a little bit to get somebody in there like Hester for kickoff and punt returners but I understand the kickers because you got Vinatieri and all that stuff, and but I'm talking strictly returners.
Trent, we were going to talk about that tonight. Where'd my slide for it left? But
that's what I said. That's what I said last week.
Yeah,
exactly
we'll talk
what I said.
Because here's the problem, Trent. Like we'll talk about Briggs and Peanut and those guys, but here's the problem. Here's next year's first time eligible, Marshawn Lynch, right? Now he may not get in because he's only here to avoid being fined. Luke Kuechly, his knock will be you only did 8 years, so you didn't have a long enough career. But Jesus, what a career he had. Eli, well, the slayer of Tom Brady with 2 rings and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. The thing about him is outside of that and the one postseason record for one season where he had like that 1,200 yards in the postseason, unremarkable career as far as records. Clay Matthews is eligible next year. And then, of course, I think the first ballot, Adam Vinatieri. How could he not?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
4 rings. I mean, and some of them, a couple of those won Super Bowls, right? Those are your first time eligibles next year. Never mind the guys who are semifinalists and finalists this year that didn't make it in. And then you've got, the guys that we talked about last week being possible snubs. And I had a graphic for it. Where did my graphic go? Mike, if you see it, can you put it up, please? I don't think we deleted it, but we've got there. Oh, there we go. Yep, there's our snubs. Thank you, Mike. Lance Briggs, some Pro Bowls, all Bears, all Bears team, top 100 Bears. But I don't know if he's got enough to get in. Peanut Tillman literally changed the league, right? The term peanut punch that everyone in the league uses is from him. Had good numbers, had some Pro Bowls, all pros. And then Olin Kreutz, let's not forget Olin Kreutz, who followed a Hall of Famer, right? And now we had Olin Kreutz, who was 13 years in the league. And his PFF and everything was just ridiculous. So, guys, I mean, Dan, pick one of the 3, and what do you think he might or might not get in the Hall?
Kreutz maybe not get in. I mean, I don't know. They all deserve to be in. I could see. It's hard to pick.
I mean, yeah, with the 3, that's a good list right there. I mean,
yeah.
Do they all deserve to be in? I mean, let's be objective here. Do these 3 guys all deserve to be in the Hall?
I mean,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, like I said last week, and the viewer said it right away, and I said it last week. The problem with Lance Briggs is that he was in Urlacher's shadow when they played together. Yes, they were a great duo, but I can see Lance Briggs out of those 3 not getting in before the other 2.
So here's a question, Mike. If Suggs gets in, does that pave the way more for Lance Briggs? Because Suggs was to Lewis what Briggs was to Urlacher.
Yeah, if he's going to get in, it's going to be because of Urlacher getting him in there.
Yeah, he might have to bash some heads, maybe.
Yeah.
I think Briggs is going to be one of those guys who's going to get in like McMichael's a legacy vote. He won't get in his initial window. Out of the 3, I think Peanut has the best chance, but
oh yeah,
but
yeah.
has been eligible, hasn't even made. None of those guys have even made it to the semifinal for consideration yet. So their window is drawing rapidly close to being closed. So they got to make some movement, or they'll be dropped from the ballot.
But when you have a play or turnover named after you, the peanut punch, like Vinatieri's definitely going to get in. You're a kicker and you have a gray beard, you're getting in.
Yeah.
It's just when you have a name for yourself for football, like the peanut punch, like I said, you're getting in. No doubt. It's not. He didn't make his own name up. he didn't make up the peanut punch. He just did it.
Yeah, I think of the three, I think the easiest case might be Peanut. Tillman might be the easiest case because of that.
Yep.
And he's got some of those other stat lines that the voters look for. That'll obviously be the next push from Bears fans after we get 3 in this year. So Hall of Fame is always interesting. Of course, we lead the NFL with 40. Green Bay's behind us with like 35 or 36. When you count coaches and everything else. So by far, the 2 top franchises in the NFL by Hall of Fame standards for Hall of Famers. It's nice to get them in. I think I'd like some more rings, though. I wouldn't mind some more rings.
Yeah.
Hall of Famers are nice, but I like some rings.
Well, that's the only reason why I like Mike being young. I want to die with another Super Bowl. He has a way to go, so he has a lot look forward to. Gotta say it, Mike. My bad.
Let's hope I'm not disappointed.
Well, you know what's funny?
funny?
You know what's funny, Woody, is you're getting older when guys you watched, like, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago you were watching them, and they're getting inducted in the Hall. You're like, oh, wow.
Well, just like I was watching highlights of the other night when we played Cleveland and beat in overtime with Mike Brown's interception. Mike Brown is a fucking player, man. I love that guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know.
Or remember Tank Johnson? Yeah.
Nathan Vasher. I was at that
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Great. And I was at the Hester game, too, when he ran that missed field goal back against the Giants.
Marcus Robinson. There's a name.
Yep.
I think Marcus Robinson actually was the last Bear to retire as a Bear on a one-day contract. I remember he went to Minnesota, remember, and he said, I'm going to retire. He came back to the one-day contract. You don't hear about those anymore, the one-day contract. I think he was like one of the last ones I remember doing that was Marcus Robinson. And of course, that was a year or 2 after we had drafted Urlacher. So Mike, way before your time, buddy.
Hopefully Robbie Gold does that. Signs a one-day contract.
He needs to.
Yep.
How about Dennis McKinnon?
Oh God, yeah.
I was at the game when he ran back the touchdown in the year after the Giants won the Super Bowl.
Then again, I remember the Spare Bears.
Yeah.
Spare Bears.
I was at the final game when they played the Saints. My grandfather used to get tickets all the time, and he got tickets for that last game against the Saints, the Spare Bears.
And who was the quarterback for the Spare Bears?
Began with an H.
He's still in the NFL.
What year?
The Spare Bears. Peyton.
Coach?
No, a certain head coach in Denver was the Spare Bear. He was a quarterback on the Spare Bears.
Peyton?
Sean Payton.
Oh, yeah, it's going well.
He was a Spare Bear. Oh, yeah. So, hey, Dad, now we've taken down a trip of memory lane of old players. Let's talk about another one that's going to be an old player.
Oh, God. Thank you. Hey, it was good knowing you, bud. But when you go to your next team, like Vildor, please tackle. Wrap your arms. Stupid.
No, don't tackle. Keep doing what you're doing when you go to your next team, Eddie.
Well, no. Ken, you forgot. When the Bears go to another team, they always do good.
Yeah.
So he's going to learn to tackle.
So, Dan, I would tend to think that this means Bojack is gone. They've already told him, hey, we're going to cut you.
Yep. Bye, Eddie.
So I'm assuming they're going to make it a post-June 1 designation because by doing that, they save like an extra $2 or $3 million. So that kind of, I don't know, Mike, does that tip the hand for Poles' plans in the offseason a little bit?
Yeah, that kind of tips his hand that he's going to be looking for a safety either in free agency or the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think of all the moves that they could make player wise, because now we're after tomorrow, and tomorrow morning, everyone for our pregame show, we'll be talking about Super Bowl tomorrow. But after tomorrow night's festivities, that's when we'll start seeing player movement. As far as tipping your hand, this was a no brainer because you weren't really tipping your hand. I think everyone in the league knew this was going to happen. His Spotrac value right now is about 1.2, 1.3 million, and he was slated to make 18. So I don't think there was a single general manager in the league who would be surprised that Eddie Jackson is now going to be a free agent officially come June 1st.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyone surprised?
No.
You know what? He was a great leader. He's a great leader in the defensive back room, but that's about it.
Neil Anderson, another one.
Ever since he got injured, he's scared to hit somebody.
Yeah. I think, he was a great leader, but I think leadership got taken over by, like, Gordon took over leadership of that room. They were talking about how he took over leadership of that room last year. That comment there, Butters, Neil Anderson was a good running back in his own right.
I loved him too, boy.
Right after Peyton.
Yeah, that was a problem. Right after he came in right after Walter, and you know what? Coming in after a legend had to be daunting, and my God, he did it.
Yep.
Like, he was good, but yeah, I think we're shopping. I don't know if it's going to be free agency. The one thing we do need, and we're probably already looking at Ernst, and Monday we'll start to get some clarification on what's going to be open. But guys, this is what we're looking at right now. Mike threw this list together. These are the only two center free agents that we could probably say with a good degree of certainty will actually be free agents. I mean, and then we've got what's the guy from the Tennessee we talked about a couple weeks ago. He may be a free agent, but this is it. What are your thoughts on that, Woody, of these two?
I'll have to PFF. Wow. Nick's PFF, like, that's one thing too, is, pass blocking, give Justin some more time. Zero pressures, only after 55 snaps, though. I would, my goodness gracious, he'll have 3 sacks this year, but he played more. If I had to pick right now, I would go with Andre James over Nick, even though Nick plays for the Chiefs, but we see how Mahomes runs all over the place too. So if I had to pick now, I'd pick Andre.
Dan, how about you?
Maybe the guy from the Chiefs, maybe Nick.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to have to go with Andre James just because that Nick Allegretti, 55 snaps, that's it.
Yeah,
that's give me the other guy who has the more.
He backed up one of the best centers in the league.
So we got 2 Andre, 1 Nick. What about you, Mike?
I say you cut Whitehair, sign them both with Henry with that money you saved on Whitehair.
Okay, he went with option C, all the above.
Because really, Nick's a backup. He's a backup, but when he played great.
Mike's awesome. He's going after depth right away. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
3 for 1.
Depending on what we do at the running back position, and if the guy from the Titans comes available, because he has good numbers too, I would maybe go with the guy from the Titans and Nick. But it's going to be interesting. Now we could also draft the guy. You can draft the guy in the 3rd round, and he can start day one. We see that with centers; they can tend to start. Even the lower pick guys tend to start. 3rd rounder will start day one, and we get starters in the 3rd round. We've done it every year as Poles has been here. But that's obviously our one of our big needs is a center. And I mean, we've got more room. So look at the cap casualty room. Obviously, okay, so the dead cap on him is going to be about $4 million, right? So that gives us $14 million freed up. So Mike is right. We have $14 million. There's 9 of it, right? I mean, there's some other things we can do.
Bring that when you get a chance. Bring that last comment up too.
Go ahead, Mike. Bring it up.
The whoa Justin Fields one, because that explains my little caption here. I didn't get to say this, but the Reds. I can't say the Redskins either. I'm sorry. The Commandos signed their offensive coordinator that worked with Caleb Williams. He already turned down the Raiders OC job to go to Washington. So we can stop with the Caleb Williams rumors now, because most likely Caleb's going to Washington. So, yes, I 100% believe now. 100% believe now we're keeping Justin Fields.
Yeah, and we're not going to. In general, we're trying to kind of not get too much into what we're going to draft talk this early, because free agency is going to change a lot of what teams are going to be looking for. If for instance the Bears sign an edge rusher like Daniil Hunter, or which we're rumored to be in on, or some other, now we're not drafting one at 9 probably. If we do not sign a wide receiver of substance, like maybe we sign a wide receiver 3 kind of guy, that might tip the hand that, hey, we're looking at Marvin Harrison. So there's a lot of free agency that's going to change a lot of GM's plans depending on what they can get via free agency. And there's just so much of this Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison crap going around. We figured we just let simmer. But I think most of us in this panel believe in keeping Justin. However, Bear Down Mike has a little something, and Mike the Bear fan has prepared something for him as we talk about the scenario. So, Mike, I'll let you run with this one. Run with it.
It's rumored that Denver is going to release Russell Wilson.
No.
Shh. Woody?
I'm just fucking telling. Don't tell me to shush, young boy. I just say no.
I just say calm down. So, Shane Waldron's or Russell Wilson's last year in Seattle, he threw for 3,100 yards, 26 touchdowns, 5 picks. What are the chances that Shane Waldron will want Russell Wilson if he gets bought out with 2 years remaining on his contract and pay him really cheap to come here for 2 years and draft a rookie, because we're going to have to trade Justin. You're not going to have both of them there. And end up drafting a rookie in the later rounds to sit behind Russell Wilson for 2 years.
I'll let Woody go first.
Yeah, Woody, look, I've never seen Woody put his hand up before. I know.
Okay, I understand your theory, Mike, but number one, okay. Was it in Shane when Waldron signed his contract to come to Chicago? Is it saying there bring Russell Wilson? When's it up to Waldron on which player he wants to bring in?
Yeah, it's up to Waldron. It should be up to Waldron.
Oh, fuck that is. Anyway,
he's gonna
have to seek or swim with the quarterback he wants.
Okay. Oh boy.
I think the GM gets final say on that. The OC might have a preference, might ask, well, I would really like Russ, but the GM could say, hey, you were hired for X.
If you're Eberflus, are you going to trust a rookie quarterback to take you to the playoffs? Because they have to make the playoffs this season.
Right, but I mean, in terms of getting Russell, though, our new OC has zero leg to say you must get Russ, right? I mean, I think that's what Woody's saying is, okay, fine, well, Waldron's here, but that doesn't mean he has any power to make sure Russell Wilson gets here or to engineer a trade.
He may not have the power, but it'd be a great idea, because the Bears will do something they never do. Have a rookie quarterback sit behind a guy for years. And learn the game. Every time we draft a quarterback, we just throw him right into the fire.
Another reason he's 35 years old.
Well, I actually have a couple reasons. I don't know if you've seen Denver's cap, but they only got about $24 million this year. And if they cut him, he's got that guaranteed money that was rear loaded. And $85 million, they just can't afford to do that. Well, even if you wait until June after that, $35 million, you only got $24 million. I don't think they would. That's just.
Okay, so if you're going to sign Russell Wilson, they're saying they want to win now. We just want to get to the playoffs. And with Russell Wilson being 35 years old and whatever contract, he's not going to sign a 1 year, of course.
Well, if he does sign, it's going
2 years.
to be cheap because he's already getting paid.
Yeah,
Well,
it'll be cheap.
Yeah. But from
I
Denver's
understand- hey,
standpoint,
I understand.
Right.
I understand everybody's point. What I'm saying is that he's not 30. He's not 28. He's 35 years old. He doesn't have that much time left. So would you want to take a chance of signing Russell Wilson if we're not going to go to the Super Bowl this year or next year? We don't know if we're going to go to – we don't even know if we're going to playoffs next year. We don't know yet. But do you want to take a chance? Do you want to take a chance on Justin Fields, or because he's young and he can do those years, or you want to trust a 35-year-old Russell Wilson?
well, Butters, I'm with you. But my buddy Butters said, hey, no. He's like, no, Moss. I mean, look at Mike. I get the idea. Bring in a vet, get a rookie, do what we don't do. Right. I thought we rushed Justin in too early. I thought we rushed Trubisky in too early. You're right. When we draft the quarterback, fans are like, oh, you got a guy in the second round. He's now the starter. We don't give the guy. I'm with you on that. Like, that's why we don't develop quarterbacks well. But the other problem with that is then after year 3, you're like, well, they haven't turned into Russell Wilson yet, so we must jettison them. And that's also wrong. I mean, the thing about bring up that number again, Mike, your slide you made on this with the cap, because here's the thing that really tells you why they won't. And it's what Mike brought up. The $24.1 million is their cap space, period. If they get rid of Russ, now you have to get a quarterback, and you have $24.1 million. What quarterback are you going to get that's not going to eat 100% of your $24.1 million in cap space you have?
Nathan Peterman?
they're gonna draft a quarterback. I think they got the 12th pick or 13th.
But that no, okay, so that's not in their, that money's already set aside, so that doesn't count their 24.1. So that would be one way. But let's say part of the trade was Justin. Justin, I think, cost more than 24.1 this year, or pretty close to it on his rookie deal. So I don't think because they want to win now, and if they do this, they don't have the money to win. And they're kind of a similar but different situation we're in. Basically, with Russell, they've got to keep him for the next 2 years. Now, I think they might draft a young quarterback and do what you want to do for the Bears, but in Denver. I think that's more the way to go, because Russell's still a good quarterback, obviously. Or you think he's a good quarterback. I agree with you, or you wouldn't have brought this up, because I know you, and you don't come up with garbage stuff. He's a good player. He'd add value to us. I think, though, Denver is thinking like you're thinking, but in terms for them. Does that make sense?
And Fields is only making $6 million.
Yeah, and Mike, I'm usually wrong about the Bears, so you're probably right. We'll probably sign Russell Wilson by June.
But I just don't see them cutting him with that kind of.
If they had $100 million or something, it'd be a different story. They're already in cap hell.
Yeah. Like, they're gonna have to. That's one of those contracts. It's one of those deals they're gonna have to ride out. It's not like Eddie Jackson, where we don't have to ride that, because the way they did the contract. Same thing with Cody. Like, if we cut Cody, it's not like we have to ride that contract because it would hurt us too much to cut him because we don't have cap space. But if they cut Russ, it's negative equity for 2 years.
But every cap's different. The way they did Russ, they didn't have money now, but were rear loaded. So that's when he gets his guarantee. So he's getting his money regardless.
Yeah. So there's some of that. So it's an interesting idea. Look, there's all kinds of ideas. I mean, okay, let's get into it a little bit. We got a little bit of time. Why not? Let's go into the keep Justin Fields, get rid of Justin Fields debate a little bit. Dan, I'll start this with you. Are you on team keep Justin, or are you on team trade him away? I mean, where do you sit on Justin?
I keep him. Yeah, keep him.
So, I mean, that's a good one. So I hope that we stay with the course, build this team up, and if Justin fades out, we can plug a vet and to push the team through. If the team, and Trent makes a good comment there. To keep Justin. What do you? I know you're on keep you're on Team Keep Fields, right?
Yeah, it's not like he's been progressing every year. And now that we're gonna, we got the coaches and Waldron's track record of play calling, I'm keeping him.
Bear down, Mike.
I'm only keeping him because he kept the head coach. I'm tired of the inconsistency. We draft a quarterback, their head coach gets fired. They get the new head coach gets a new quarterback. The old quarterback's gone. I'm sick of doing this. What I would do, I keep Justin just because you keep Flus. You draft Marvin Harrison because let's say, draft Marvin Harrison and decline Justin's 5th-year option. And if he does well next season, you give him an extension.
Mike, I had a talk with some Packer fans the other day on the morning show, and they were talking about something similar to what Mike just said. You decline the 5th-year option, but give him like a Jordan Love style contract.
Yep.
Do you think A, that Fields would do that, or B, that the Bears would do that versus just inking him to a longer term deal?
I think Fields would do it, and I think Poles would be comfortable doing that because he's not spending a whole bunch of money to keep him. That's exactly what I would do, but we don't know what Poles will do. There's so many variants of what the Bears could do.
Mike, the Bear fan, what do you think? What's your take on this?
I think we have too many needs to restart over in the quarterback situation. We need another wide receiver, a starting center, an edge rusher. Like, we need more needs than just that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think, some of it will address via free agency. Like I said, the Bears have already been linked to Danielle Hunter. They've already been linked to Chase Young. I would not be surprised to see one of them in Chicago next year. Hunter is older than what we've seen Poles do, but I think now this is you're supposed to be in the playoffs here. I think, and Danielle, how many sacks did he have last year? Like, he had a boatload. Didn't he have like 14 or 15 sacks? He had a high number. He was definitely a stud for Minnesota. So maybe you give him a 2 or 3 year deal, even though he's about 30, 31 years old, because if you're supposed to be in the playoffs, then you're supposed to go to the Super Bowl, right? So if you're adopting that mindset now, I could see Poles signing Danielle Hunter. Plus, you take him from a division rival. There's always that piece. And he doesn't have the injury history that Chase Young has. So I think that we're going to do some stuff, maybe a running back via free agency. I'm waiting for can we get Saquon Barkley comments coming from the guys from New York?
Hunter had 16 and a half sacks. In the last 5 years, he had 10 plus. Only 1 year out of the 5.
Even though we didn't make the playoffs and everything like that, look how good Robert Quinn did when we had him on our team as well. So,
yeah. So if we could get Hunter, that's pretty much the money we just saved from Eddie Jackson could be spent on Danielle Hunter. That's a pretty good combo. You're probably looking between him and Sweat last year. That's 29 sacks between the two of them. And I think Hunter. Go ahead.
He is a proven player for sure. I just don't think Poles, being what he said, like get through the draft, get him young. I just don't think he'll get in that age limit to get someone like that. You might as well just go with the Chase Young.
Yeah, no, I would do that. I would take
an incentive with him to keep healthy.
If the price is right for Chase Young, yes.
Yep.
I think he will be because he's been injured.
I think the age thing, though, goes a little bit out the door in this new phase that we're in. Because, we built the team for the most part. Now we're just plugging the last 2 or 3 holes. And so you can make a case that Danielle Hunter is going to be good for the next 3 or 4 years, especially paired with Montez Sweat. So you can make the argument for it. Yes, is it a departure a little bit from what we've seen Poles do? Yes. Would it surprise me if Poles did it? No. Because Poles has already shown that he's not going to do what you think he's going to do sometimes.
Well, he has stayed healthy. Hunter's has, in the last 5 years, he's only missed 1 year. He missed some games. Other than that, he's played every year.
And who did he play? And who was on the other side of him last year?
I'm not positive.
Exactly. Danielle Hunter was the man in Minnesota because there was nothing else. So now you put him with a proven edge
Wasn't
rusher
that Zadarius Smith?
who's also a free agent this year.
I think it was Zadarius
No,
Smith.
it might have been. But I don't remember. Zadarius didn't do much.
No, I don't think so.
So, I mean, there's some options. There are some options, and we've got, and if we look at the draft, I mean, I would say, not to get too much into the draft, but I'll say this, and you guys can tell me how you agree or not. I think when you look at what Ryan Poles is going to do with the draft, in terms of what we do with the number 1 pick, whether, there's people who say, oh, we have to take Caleb because he's the next Mahomes, he's the next whatever.
They say that about every number 1 quarterback.
Let me get through it, right? But you have to ask yourself this question. If I draft Caleb Williams, does he make my wide receiver better? Because I only have the 1 right now, maybe 2. Scott is my number 3. So does he make my wide receiving core better? Does he make my tight end core better? Does he make my offensive line better? Does he make my running back room better? If the answer is no to all of those questions over keeping Justin Fields, and you keep Justin Fields, it's that simple. Because if I draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and I ask that same question, if I draft Marvin Harrison Jr., does he make my wide receiver room better? Yes. Right? Because now there's going to be more opportunities for DJ Moore. There's going to be more opportunities for Scott, whoever wide receiver 3 is. Okay. Does he make the running back situation better? Yes, because now you have to double team him and DJ Moore or something. Now you can't really stack 8 in the box with those 2. Okay. Does he make the offensive line better? Yes. See, last argument, 8 in the box doesn't happen as much. Do they make the quarterback better? Does he make the quarterback better? Yes, less pressure on him, more design run. Now it can be more like a certain guy who won the MVP. So, I mean, if I look at it in those terms, I don't think it's a debate. I think I don't know how anyone can justify drafting Caleb because you even if you believe Caleb's a better quarterback, does he make your team better in total drafting him versus Marvin Harrison Jr.? Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm for Marvin Harrison in that.
I mean, Woody, have I gone off my rocker, or does that sound like a legit argument?
Yeah, I said it from day one. Don't mess around. You get the best player in the draft. I think the best player in the draft is Marvin Harrison Jr. You go out and get him when you can. Plain and simple. I
mean, Mike, if bear down, Mike. If we do this, obviously Russ' plan is tanked if we're keeping Justin, which I think we are. But if you look at the analysis, and I did see a mock draft with Joe Alt going number 1 to the Bears. I about laughed my behind off because I don't see us draft Alt number 1. I mean, based on that kind of logic, do you think, am I wrong, or the Bears maybe going a different path?
Then taking Joe Alt, taking a different path.
No, the Harrison Jr. versus drafting a quarterback number 1.
You take Marvin Harrison because with Caleb Williams, it's unproven. You don't know what he's going to be into the league. You're hoping he's showing flashes in college that he's going to be great in the NFL. You know what? A lot of quarterbacks do that. Remember Josh Rosen? He was great in college. He didn't pan out. There's so many examples. So you take the guy that you have and you develop around him.
How did Caleb Williams, how did he do in his bowl game? Anybody know? Anybody know?
Play.
There you go. Thank you.
And against top defensive teams in college, he sucks. Wait till you get to the NFL. Fast.
Like I said before, Bo Nix proved more than Caleb Williams. I'm sorry. Somebody fight me on that.
Well, look, and also the combine's going to happen, and there's going to be shifting there. People will rise, people will fall. We saw it last year with the quarterback class. People are saying next year's quarterback class is going to suck. Well, that's what they said last year, why everyone had to get Stroud, because next year's class is going to be terrible. And now this year, like, oh my God, Caleb Williams is the best prospect ever. Next year, it's going to be the same thing from whatever quarterback that's coming out in the draft. The other thing is, too, with Ken the Packer fan, the morning show, we actually looked at the last 10 years of quarterbacks, or actually 20 years of quarterbacks taken in the first round. Do you know what the miss rate, the fail rate on a quarterback in the first round is?
Wasn't it like 44%?
60% miss rate. Now, for Justin, they said undetermined but trending up. For Trevor Lawrence, they called him a hit, but he just came off a down year. So I would say he's undetermined, trending down after what happened last year. But that's just in the first round. For number one quarterbacks, number one overall selected quarterbacks, the hit rate's even worse. It's like 75% miss. So
can we bring that comment back up? Each one of us to take a stab.
Yeah, go for it, Mike. I'll let you start with it.
I'm not gonna say Commanders because that's what a lot of people will say. I would say the Falcons have the most to give up from moving from 8 to 1. Yeah, we lose out on Marvin Harrison, but you can get Malik Neighbors, you can get Rome Odunze. So that I think Atlanta is the biggest one that can offer us the most.
Or you may get none of those wide receivers.
Or you may not get none. That's when you hit free agency and you go get what Billy wants. You go get Mike Evans.
Yeah.
So you're saying though, Mike, that your bet would be Atlanta. You think Atlanta would give us the most for one, and that would be something that's kind of viable. We might take.
You give me 2 1s, a second this draft, and a 4th next year. And give me Drake London. I'll do it with you.
Okay. Bear fan Dan, who do you think would give the Bears the best haul for the number 1 overall pick?
Think about Washington. Trade with Washington and get. Oh, I can't remember who I seen. They said it'd come into the trade with us. I seen something online with a trade for one of us.
I think I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the player either, but I would caution picking Washington because it's never happened in the NFL draft where the team picking 2 moved up to number 1. It's never happened. Not to say it can't. Things happen all the time.
They would call our bluff.
But no one's ever moved from 2 to 1, and honestly, if you don't take Caleb, you can get Drake or you can get one of the other quarterbacks, I would think. But you're not going to get much of a haul going from 2 to 1. You're just going to flip, and you might get a second rounder or maybe, I don't think you're going to get a huge haul going 2 to 1. Usually the closer you are in the flip, the less you get. So that's like, you get more from New England than you would Washington because they're further back. You get more from Atlanta because they're further back. So, Woody, who do you think would give the Bears the biggest haul for number 1, though, coming into this draft?
See, I don't know how Will Levis is gonna do with Tennessee. I was gonna say them, but I'm gonna go with a surprise one. Even though they signed him to a big contract, I'm gonna say the New York Giants. Watch.
Yeah,
and where are the Giants at right now? Where are they at in the
They're at
6.
I think.
They're at 6. So going from 6 to 1, you're probably going to do the flip, get a first rounder out of them next year. But the problem is with Danny Dimes, though, they can't get rid of that contract. They're kind of stuck with Danny Dimes, aren't they?
Never know.
Like that dead hit on them is massive. They're like the Russ Wilson scenario. You have to keep Danny Dimes pretty much the way that contract was.
Never know.
Mike, the Bear fan, what say you? Who do you think gives us the biggest haul for the number 1 overall pick? He's doing some producing stuff, I guess. I'll go.
I'm kind of with Mike. I think
Go ahead.
I said I think Mike. I'm with Mike. I think Atlanta probably could for sure, but I don't see them dropping that far because I don't think we're gonna fall no more than 3. Personally,
there's probably
I think there's gonna be 2 wide receivers taken before 9 picks.
Probably going to be New England then. New England's probably going to be our biggest haul if you want to talk like that.
I mean, yeah, for what the Bears want to achieve, it has to be it has to be New England or Washington, most likely New England, who may want Caleb and want to jump Washington to take Caleb away from Kingsbury. Because I think if you're Washington, look, I think Washington has it figured out that if the Bears don't trade it, that we're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. In fact, I think it's the worst kept secret amongst NFL GMs that we're drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. Everyone knows it except the talking heads who want to get clicks for their shows and their articles. Because look, I get it. It's great copy to have people argue about Caleb versus Justin. I don't buy into it. I think it's just more clickbait because I think everyone who knows anything is in the league, and look at all support, even players are giving Justin, that the Bears are keeping Justin. I don't think it's really a debate. And the Bears are going to use number one, which there are some Bears fans who are going to be pissed because, well, you didn't turn that pick into a bunch of other picks. Why do I care to turn it into a bunch of picks and get a haul? I want to be in the playoffs now. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is my target, and by adding him, I can create a better wide receiving room and lessen the pressure on my quarterback, my offensive line, and my running backs and my tight ends, and he can make the entire offense better in general. Why wouldn't I do it?
Well, what if he's right and all of
Info-
a sudden Giants do it and they do move up because they're not going to get out of Daniel Jones's contract. It's pretty much rear heavy, not until probably 2025, 2026.
Yep.
But what if they're saying, hey, I need another offensive weapon to say all of a sudden Barkley stays? Jones needs a receiver.
Because you gotta think the Giants, all they have is Darius Slayton really and a good young receiver. Imagine them with Marvin Harrison as well with Danny Fumbles.
Well, it was reported today by Ian Rappaport the Bears would need a historic compensation to trade the number one pick.
And that was Poles' tell that he plans on using number one. Now, all the clickbait artists out there, right, like CBS Sports, ESPN, and all the other little talking heads that need to get you to click on their art and argue with them to make money, they're all going to say, oh, that means that they're drafting Caleb. No, it means that we want Marvin Harrison Jr. is what I'm thinking. That's what I think most of us are thinking, that because he makes the most sense for this team in the long term. Because also he does this in 2 years when DJ Moore is up for a contract. Okay, we can let him walk because we'll still have Marvin Harrison Jr. We can get another receiver. Now, the only way I think we trade the number one to a team that wants Marvin Harrison Jr. is Arizona, and make Arizona pay out the wazoo, like really make them pay, and then we can get a Dunez, which I would be okay with. I wouldn't be as thrilled as I would be with Marvin Harrison Jr., but some people say a Dunez might be like a 1A, 1B kind of thing with those two. Dunez, I believe, or was it Neighbors? Or it was Neighbors.
LSU kids, Neighbors.
Yeah, Neighbors. I'm sorry, Neighbors. He had some actually better game stats than Marvin Harrison did. So I might be okay. Say, okay, fine, we'll do that. We'll let you take Marvin, but you're going to pay us like no one's ever paid us before. In fact, you're going to. Well, you can't throw in Hollywood Brown because he's a free agent. But you're going to throw in, first your your pick this year, your number one next year. You're going to give us a 2 this year, a 4 next year, and we want player X. And then we want something else because it's going to be historic, right?
We want Buda Baker.
We want Buda Baker because we just got rid of Eddie Jackson. There you go. Like that's how historic it would have to be.
I want to quick answer the question that was just asked too. Do you think three teams in our division can get to the playoffs? If we do get Marvin Harrison Jr., by goddamn. Because if we like I said, if we'd have won 3 more games, we might have had that wild card spot. And you remember what the NFC East used to do? It used to be Giants, Cowboys, Eagles. By goddamn right, three teams in the NFC North can make the playoffs.
He said Eagles. He didn't say the other word.
Yeah, didn't say Sheagles.
I feel like a given move today.
Dan, what do you think? Do you think the NFC North could theoretically send 3 teams to the playoffs next year?
Possibly. I mean, don't think the Vikings will make it.
Yeah, that would be making all 4 then.
I mean, look, I think of all the teams right now, the biggest wild card in the bunch, because of their quarterback situation, we don't know what they're going to do yet, is the Vikings, right? But if the Vikings get an adequate quarterback, or they do the smart thing and re-sign Mr. Chain Man with no shirt himself, Kirk Cousins, I think all 4 teams have a legit shot at the playoffs. Mike, what do you
90
think?
million. No fucking way they're
I
resigning.
don't think it's 90 million, but let's say they take care of their quarterback situation, right? Mike, do you think the NFC North could send 3 or 4 teams is theoretically possible? We have to take all 3 wild cards. But think about it. That means everyone in division splits the division. If everyone splits in the division, we could have 4 11-win teams in the division. It is possible.
With the Vikings and their money issues, no established running game. Justin Jefferson, Addison, 2 best players on their team. Their defense is, we thought they were going to suck last year as well, but they surprised most of us on how they played. But I do not see the Vikings making the playoff next year.
I could see Kirk Cousins taking a team-friendly deal.
He's already made a lot of money. I could see him doing that, but his market value is just about $39 million. They're saying 3 years, 118.
And real quick, Mike, while you're there, pull up Fields' SPO track, because that's interesting. Kirk Cousins at 40 million. We'll just call it 39.3. Wait till you guys see. Wait till you see Justin's. And this is the other argument of why you keep Justin Fields. SPO is pretty good at valuating talent to money, right? And they're saying Kirk Cousins, we all agree, is a good quarterback, is worth 39. Justin, when he brings it up,
43.
43 million. He's worth more.
Nice.
It was 43 last I checked. I'm seeing if it moved up. 47 now.
Damn, dude.
Wow.
8 years, 283.
Right.
Big one.
All right. Hey, Mike. Okay, let's just
This
sign
ain't my math. Don't be mad at me.
Hey, Mike, just sign fucking Russell Wilson and fuck him.
So I mean that's as far as the do we keep Justin argument, I think that's another one. And a comment I want to hit real quick before we run out of time. Billy, I'm all over that, brother. I'm with you. I'm on the Derrick Henry train. I look at the Saquon's out there. They're saying now Josh Jacobs, the Raiders may want to keep him, but I'll tell you what, he makes sense at $6 million, especially if you're drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., especially if you're drafting a big name tight defensive end. I mean, that team is ready to rock. I think you could have 3 teams, if not all 4 teams, challenging for playoff positions. I mean, look, as bad as the Bears were last year, we weren't eliminated to week 17, right? So, well, really week 18, the final week, or week 17. Week 18, because we had it was, if there was a tie, we could have gotten in the final week.
There was a lot that needed to happen.
Yeah, but so technically, the last week of the season is when the Bears was really officially eliminated, but for all practical purposes, the week before. So, I mean, this division is going to be damn good. I don't see anyone sweeping the division as is right now. That's the way too early predictions. But, that'll give us some more stuff to talk about next Saturday. And don't forget, tomorrow, 11:30 in the morning Central, 12:30 in the afternoon Eastern, to join us right here at the same place you're right now for Halas Hall Report pregame edition. We'll be talking a lot about the Super Bowl and some other Bears things. But until then, guys, we will see you tomorrow morning. Thanks on Facebook, YouTube, Northeast Streaming Sports, and Roku. Remember, if you want to make comments, you got to be on Facebook or YouTube to do that. And we will see you tomorrow. Bear down.
Bear down.
Bear down.
Welcome to Halas Hall Report, live every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Live talking Chicago Bears football with Mike the Bear Fan. I'm your host, Ken Dobb. Also on the panel, we have the football analyst, Woody, who is named for the Woody wrap-up on game days. Next on the panel, we have Bear Down Mike. He is the youngest, but don't be fooled. This guy knows this Bear squad. He can bring a different insight. Halas Hall Report breaks down the Chicago Bears team all year long, from the offseason through the draft. Also, the legend of tailgating, Billy Defense Flores, joins the crew live at 1st and 10 tailgating. You can find him at all home games at Soldiers Field. Also, the Bear Fan, who has been here since the first year of Halas Hall Report, welcome Bear Fan Dan. where he is known for studs and duds after every game. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Roku if you have a TV. They are all over social media. You won't find no better sources for Chicago Bears news like injury reports, team updates for breaking news